to Virginia?
There's-
Drew, do you remember?
I do not remember that story.
It was
Oh.
somewhere in Virginia.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Oh, that
Steve,
was
I
just-
do have another question for you.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put a little light on that picture back there?
No.
Okay,
Nobody's gonna look at
I'm rolling.
Okay, so anyway, walk me through that, what happened.
Okay, that day I had planned Andy's funeral. It was June the 1st, and we were supposed to be there at 2 o'clock. So I decided I was gonna get there early, cause I had a lot of things, pictures and things like that. We took his old office chair that he sat in for 30 years while he was an assistant principal. So I had all of that stuff loaded up and was gonna take it to the funeral home, and on the way there, I realized I hadn't eaten all day. And so I said, well, the reception doesn't start until 4. So I said, let me stop and get something to eat. Well, I would have had to have turned one way to go to the funeral home, and there was no restaurants there, so I turned the other way and just happened to pull into Burger King. As I was pulling in, my phone rang, and it was a friend telling me how sorry she was to hear that Andy had passed away. And so I started crying, tried to get myself straightened out before I got up to the box where you order.
Before you get into that, so it was just a friend who just called to say she's
Yeah.
sorry. Why did that touch you so?
I guess because I hadn't heard from her in a while, and she was crying because she couldn't be at the funeral, and that was why she was calling me, to tell me she couldn't be at the funeral. And I told her, I said, that's okay, I understand, but we just cried a little bit together. And so I pulled into the drive-through line at Burger King and placed my order. When I got up to the window, the lady told me, she said, the man in front of you paid for your order. Well, I just started sobbing again because, somebody to do something that nice for you on the saddest day of your life, it just touched my heart. So I looked as he was pulling away, and on the back of his truck was a sign that said, how's my driving? And had a telephone number. And so I quick got my phone out and I took a picture of it with his license plate. And then I noticed as he made the turn that it was a Chesterfield County vehicle, so I knew it was a Chesterfield County employee. So, as I was going past him, I blew my horn and waved, and he waved to me, and I went on to the funeral home. And so I kept thinking about it. Days after that, it took me about 2 weeks to get to where I could talk about Andy's death. So I called the number and talked to the nicest lady and told her the story as best I could without crying every few seconds. And so I gave her the license plate, and she said that she would be back in touch. Well, then a couple weeks went past and I didn't hear anything. And so I thought, well, I guess it's just not gonna work out. Well, then lo and behold, I got a call from Matt, who is Calvin's boss, and said that we located who he is. He was driving someone else's truck that day. And that's what took so long to put the pieces together to find out who it was that was driving that truck. And he said, we have figured it out, and we want to honor him at our Board of Supervisors meeting. And he said, we've missed the cutoff for the July one, so could you be at the August Board of Supervisors meeting to just tell your story? And I said, sure. And Matt was so sweet. He said, if you'll write it out and send it to me ahead of time, he said, if I can read it, then if you get too upset or emotional, he said, I can step in. So that's what we did. And so I hadn't met Calvin up until then, but that's how the story started.
So let's go back to, you're pulling up to the drive-through and your money's out?
Oh, yeah.
You're
yeah.
set to pay the bill?
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I ordered a kid's meal. Wasn't like I was ordering anything huge, like,
Yeah.
for a soccer team or something, but yeah, I ordered just the kid's meal. And that's one thing that I saw a comment on social media that bothered me. Because some people think paying it forward means that you can't afford it. But paying it forward is kindness, and that, I was fully aware that I was gonna pay for it. But just the act of somebody else seeing that I was upset, and that was his way of thinking, how can I make this day better for this lady? Not that she can't afford it. I just wanna do something kind. And I think that's what touched me so much, is that he didn't know my situation. He didn't know that I could pay for it or couldn't pay for it. He just did it because he saw I was upset.
Here's the amazing thing about this story. You were in tears in that drive-through lane because you lost your husband. You pull up to the window and you're still in tears, but it's for a whole different reason.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like he turned your sad tears to happy tears.
Absolutely. He touched my heart. Yeah. To think that somebody, a perfect stranger, would do this for me.
Explain that feeling that overcame you when you, because you're still in tears from crying over the loss of your husband. She says this simple phrase, "It's been paid for," and you get emotional again.
I did, and I told the girl as she was handing me my food, I said, I'm on my way to my husband's funeral. And I said, that man just doesn't know how he changed my feelings. I mean, he really did. He just, I don't even know how to put it into words.
Try, because I think that's important.
Oh, it was just.
Like, how could that change your feelings?
It just opened my heart, I think. It just opened my heart that someone could do kindness to me on that moment, on that very moment when I thought nothing could make me happy again. And he just did. It was just amazing. It was like there's a light at the end of this deep, dark tunnel, and he has shown me the way. He has shown me that it's gonna be okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wow. It was a wow moment, that's for sure.